Let me just say, I'm glad you're here. I love your theme because it's a recognition that life is a journey. It is not a point. Wherever you are now is just where you are now, but it's not the end of the road. God's got more in store for you. Let me tell you a story about a man. I looked for a story about a woman but didn't find one. So let me tell you a story about a man. Lived a long time ago. And when his son was born, people from the village said, "This is very, very good. You have a son." And he said, "Whether this is good or whether it is bad, I don't know. Only God knows." His son grew, and they had horses. They had one horse in particular, which was a stallion. And the son was breaking in the stallion and fell and broke his leg. These days we would go to the emergency ward of the hospital, but there was no emergency ward and there was no hospital. And from that day forward, the son was a cripple. The people from the village said, "This is very, very bad." He said to them, "Whether this is good or whether this is bad, I don't know. Only God knows." Soon after that, the country was at war, and the king was looking for soldiers. The soldiers came to the village to recruit more soldiers or more young people to be soldiers. And the young men of the village were all taken, except for the old man's son. And the villagers said, "This is very, very good. Your son is still here." And he said, "Whether this is good, whether it's bad, I don't know. Only God knows." The stallion somehow escaped from their farm. A gate was left open. They came out and their prize stallion was gone. The villagers said, "This is very, very bad," because stallions were worth a lot of money. And the man said, "Whether this is good or whether this is bad, I don't know. Only God knows." A few days later, the stallion came back with mares behind him and walked through the gate into their farm and into the corral. And there the horses were together. And the villagers said, "This is very, very good." And you know what the old man said? Because he had understood that it's all in God's hands. And he hasn't finished yet. My experience is the most turbulent times, the most difficult times of my life is when God has been closest and growing me the most. So if that is where you are now, please hang on. Please hang on. As you are involved in this weekend, I want you to remember this verse that I want to share with you. It's from Psalm 133, which is a very short psalm, but I'm not going to read all of it to you. How wonderful it is, how pleasant for God's people to live together in harmony. How wonderful it is, how pleasant for God's people to live together in harmony. So through the difficult times, we have a choice. When other people get it wrong, we can point out their faults, or we can choose to live together in harmony. I'll leave it to you to make your choice. Somebody said, to live above with saints we love, oh, that will be such glory. Have you heard this before? To live below with saints we know, well, that's another story. And that's why it's important to remember what the psalmist said. How wonderful it is, how pleasant for God's people to live together in harmony. And I want to encourage you this weekend. I'm glad you're here. Personally, I recognise that there is so much work done by the ladies in our churches, in our society, in our homes. I think it isn't recognised enough. Today, I just want to recognise who you are and the contribution that you make to the well-being of our society, our churches, and our homes. And wherever you are in your journey, I just want to give you encouragement.